Hey guys, welcome back to the Human Condition. This video is another video on our philosophy series. This should be a pretty interesting one. This one's called Remember When and Could Memory Transfer Ever Be Possible? This is a pretty interesting one. I was just thinking about this recently, diving into the possibility of being able to transfer memories and all the possibilities and all the problems associated with this if this ever happened. So yeah. But one thing sometimes people sadly lack, not always, is empathy. And I was thinking, but just because we never experience, if you truly think about it, we can't really empathize with someone completely because we never experience what they experience in life. And I was thinking, what if one day in the far, far future, we could transfer individual memories to each other and feel what people and experience someone else had to relate and foster greater empathy. This really cool concept. So I was thinking, and apparently it's very, 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 very unlikely. However, there's a slight possibility that we could at least, in the far, far future, transfer one memory to another person. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. So there's four main topics we'll talk about. How it could happen. This would be through identification, reading, storage, and transfer of the memory, and how, if it did happen, the most likely form it would be. So, which is kind of intense. So I don't know, it might be a form of like too far where technology goes, but I think it's kind of interesting. Kind of cool. Pretty lit. So, the best way this could happen, if this ever did happen, is through BCIs, which is brain-computer interfaces. And I wish there was another way to do so, because I feel like I can see the ethical concerns with transferring of memories into a computer. That's pretty that's obvious. I can see the problems with that. However, doing so, if you transfer it into the computer and then someone else receives it, that's the most likely scenario of transferring memories. So BCIs are actually something that already exist. They're brain chips. I think one prominent company that makes it is Neuralink. Founder, I think, is Elon Musk. I'm pretty positive. Very controversial guy. Love him or dislike him, I don't know. But Neuralink is one of the key places of making these BCIs. And the process, if this was ever to happen, is so difficult. And the reason we can't do that now is mapping brain neurons, because there's billions of neurons and synapses in the human brain, which I didn't know, which is kind of crazy. So to map all of this, it would take an immense amount of data, AI, all that type of stuff to be able to do this. However, the reason for a full memory uploading, which I don't think we should do because of ethical concerns, it might be a little too intense. For a full brain transfer into a computer would require a full mapping, which is less likely. However, when I was researching it, I was like, well, could one memory be transferred? And it said one memory transferring one memory into a computer interface is more likely and more easier to do, however, still extremely difficult. So best way to do it is through the BCIs, and how this would work would be, it would read a certain neuron and a couple synapses around the first topic, identification, around the neuron and the synapses. Then it would choose a certain neuron and synapses to read the code and copy it or cut it and paste it like a computer does, kind of. Store it on the internet, probably in a safe space though, obviously not just anywhere. And then the recipient, and then it would transfer it to the person who would want it and to receive the memory. Hopefully your very trusted friend, and then they would kind of like copy and paste on a computer. Then they would receive the memory and feel the memory as if it would happen to themselves. Kind of crazy, kind of cool. However, there's obviously with this a lot of ethical concerns, and I know you're probably watching this video like, that's a crazy idea, we shouldn't do that. And I'm like, I agree with you. I just think it's a cool concept, and you're probably right if you're thinking that we shouldn't do it, and I kind of think we probably shouldn't do it either. However, if we just tried it like on 2 people one time, maybe not, I don't know, just to see what happens. I mean, make sure it's safe first, and then see. It'd be kind of interesting to see, like, because if the possibilities are endless. Because, like, think about this, like, 2 very world leaders that always clash will finally understand why they see the world through the other person's perspective, and maybe peace could be solved through that. Negatively, you have the idea of, what if someone else gets access to that memory that you don't want it to, or the question of identity being, this is unlikely scenario, because when I looked it up it said very unlikely, but what if you lose that memory and someone else has it? That's kind of sad, you don't want, it's kind of brutal. So that's another ethical. Also, identity. Memories are what make us us. So if we transfer a memory to someone else, not, let's say, and keep it, even if we do keep it, right, we might not experience that memory to the same way we used to feel it, because it's now in someone else's mind. And even if we did, the other person, the recipient, you have to think about them. Like, if it's we never, obviously you wouldn't want to transfer, you want to transfer good memory, not bad memory to people. And if you did, or like a worldview to someone, maybe, the question of individuality, is that person still even themselves, or are they you now? Because now your memory is in their mind, so basically now they're losing a sense of their individuality. They're not completely themselves. And if you did the same thing, if you've got that and had any greater empathy for someone else, that's good. However, are you still yourself, or now you becoming someone that you're not meant to be? So do the ethical concerns outweigh the possibility of peace? Kind of does, actually, because, peace shouldn't be something chosen through force. It should be something willfully decided. So in conclusion, even though it's a really cool concept, and maybe it's not, even if people decide to do it, it might be too, even with the positivity of peace, it might be too suggestive, and even though it wouldn't necessarily force peace, it would just make someone be like, oh, I understand you now. So, but still, it might be kind of close. It wouldn't be forcing peace, but it'd be kind of close to, like, pushing it. But peace should be something people choose with their own memories and opinions and ideas. So in conclusion, is it possible? Probably in the far, far, far future. How is it ethical? Sadly, probably not. Even though it's really cool, it's sadly probably not ethical. So yeah, remember when. So in conclusion, the best form for memory transferring an individual memory to other people, is through BCIs, brain-computer interfaces, transferring our memories to a computer, then someone else receives it from that computer, and they're like, oh, I understand why you thought that way, bro. Pretty cool. So I hope you guys liked this video. As always, thanks again for watching. Like, subscribe if you want. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.